Alrighty, guys, welcome to the step-by-step cutting guide to not be a fat ass, right? Because no one wants that. In all seriousness, this is going to be a guide intended to teach you everything that I use to get my clients in shape. You can apply this and achieve a great transformation yourself if you are dedicated. So, really just going to be outlining some basic principles here. This isn't scripted. I don't have a script, so this is straight off the dome, and I made this Google presentation in about an hour. So if there's typos, bear with me here, okay, guys? I'm not. This is an English class, so let's dig into it. The real reason why diets fail. You don't need more info, guys. You need better systems. Okay, how many fucking nutrition plans? How many apps? How many meals? How many diet books do you need to fucking read? Okay, it's not rocket science. Okay, you don't need another supplement. Oh my God, I'm going to take my You don't need that, okay? You don't need another recipe. You don't need another high-protein cottage cheese recipe. No, that isn't helping. Think about it. Why do you fail? Okay, we're not here to diet. We are here to rewire habits. And when we look at things, this is how fat loss works. You start losing weight. You're motivated. Oh, the weekend, I earned it. Then you burn yourself out, you eat all those calories back, and then you're like, okay, well, I gotta earn that back, so I gotta restrict. Now you start losing weight again. Psh, happens again. And then you're more motivated. You're like, yeah, let's fucking kill it this time. I'm not gonna fuck up again. Restrict, binge. Boom, back at square one. And you see how nothing fucking changes. At the end, you're at the same damn spot because you flip-flop. You try to fucking do everything. You're like, yeah, let's David Goggins it. Let's cut out all the food groups. What are we doing, guys? Okay, we want to implement a system that actually works and actually is proven to help you change your habits. In my systems, the shit that I do works because I've seen it firsthand with clients, right? Getting them in shape and keeping them in shape. So that's what I'm here to teach you guys to do, man. You don't need more info, okay? You have all the info. Calorie deficit, we know that. How the hell do we do that? That's what I'm here to teach you. Okay, first of all, let's lay out some groundwork. Okay, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. How much weight do you actually need to lose? How much fat do you actually have in your frame? First off, have you dieted before? What did you do? And most importantly, why the hell did it fail, right? If we don't understand why something failed, then how do we even know how to move forward, right? We have to understand why something failed if we want to learn from it, adapt, change, make progress. So why did it fail? Learn from that, and then going forward, use that information to make better decisions and execute them better, right? Why did you fail? What happened? How did it happen? Learn from it. Boom, there you go. And then you can apply that next time around. Now, I need you to, also I want to be cool here. A lot of people, they think they have much less fat than they need to lose. Guys, if you are having a beer belly, they're like, yeah, maybe I just need to lose 10 pounds. Guys, okay, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, okay? Look yourself in the mirror. You probably got more than 10 pounds to lose. And it's almost always that way. You're almost always going to have more weight than you have to lose. For example, a 200-pound guy who's overweight, who's like maybe 5'10", he's overweight, minimal muscle. He's going to get down to 160. And if he has minimal muscle, that's a perfectly realistic transformation. Okay? You need to be honest with yourself here. Now, I also need you to set realistic health-focused goals. If you are 30% body fat, you are not going to be the most shredded guy in the fucking beach. That should not be your goal. You should not want to look like, oh yeah, I'm going to look like Zac Efron this summer, take the shirt off like Baywatch, and all the ladies are going to be staring at me. No, it's not happening. Same thing goes for a woman, right? If you are an overweight woman and you're struggling with your weight, you cannot expect to look like a fucking fit model competitor. It's not happening, okay? Just be realistic with yourself. Your goal, your primary goal, should be health. Health first, okay? If you're 30% body fat, get down to 20. And then we could talk about pushing from there. But I do not, get that out of your head, you're not going to turn into fucking David Goggins overnight. It's not happening. Be realistic with yourself. And also, if you are a woman, I always see this on my feed. Women are like, yeah, my boyfriend lost, 10 pounds in a month. I only lost 4. Guys, if a 300-pound, 6-foot man loses 10 pounds, you got to look at it like a percentage of your body weight, right? What is 10 pounds of that 300-pound guy's body weight, okay? 4 pounds on your 124-pound frame is a lot of weight. Okay, that's good progress. So stop comparing yourself to other people and focus on you, because that is what matters, your results. This isn't someone else's journey. This is you, and this is what we're after. Next, talk to somebody. Talk to a trusted individual. You need to allow other people to support you, because if they don't know what the hell's going on, then they're going to curate an environment that's not conducive to your success. So maybe it's your parents. Maybe you're young. Hey, Ma, can we maybe switch up some meals? Yeah, sure. I guarantee you that'll be the response, right? Second thing you need to do, ignore the noise. Okay, there's going to be people that are not understanding why you want to do these things. There's going to be people that are being like, oh, come on, just have the cake, just have this, just have that. Ignore it. But first of all, don't put others down. I don't want you to lose friends as a result of dieting. That's not how we're doing this. But if someone's constantly pressuring you to eat the thing and being like, eat it, eat it, eat it, just tell them no. Say, hey, I'm trying to, change my life right now. I'm trying to turn my life around. I don't want it. They keep pressuring you, just keep saying no. But don't be a dickhead, obviously, because you need to be nice. They're your friends, and they ultimately probably just want you to be, happy. But first things first, a lot of it comes from jealousy, too. They see you doing things that they're not doing, and they're like, oh, I should be doing those, too. So you need to have a good group around you. You need to have a support group, whether it's family, friends, coach, whatever. Tell somebody about it. Have them support you. Boom. This is the biggest, I'm telling you, this is the biggest thing. Now, next thing, number 3, if you came into this thinking that you were just going to be able to balance it, you're just going to be able to have balance and eat the foods that you want, get that shit out of your brain. Okay, you need to commit fully. And also it's kind of a contradiction, but fitness isn't all in or all out, right? But at the same time, you have to recognize that if you're trying to change your life, think about it. These habits, some of you have built up over decades of, unhealthy eating patterns, right? Eating the cake every day, drinking the beers after work, having a glass of wine at night because you're stressed out from the kids, right? These are habits that have taken time to accumulate. These didn't happen in one day, right? So you need to understand, if you've been living your life at 30% body fat for the past decade and you're trying to completely change your physical appearance, it's going to be hard. You need to be committed, and there's no way around that. So this doesn't mean you can't have fun, you can't live life, there won't be times to indulge, and you can't enjoy the process, right? But you must change your lifestyle, Weight loss does not come without restriction. You need to have restriction, and restriction is not inherently bad. Restriction is okay, okay? If restriction was a bad thing, we'd have a bunch of men watching like fucking porn all day, right? You need to have that mental capacity to restrict, okay? There are some things in life that you may want to do, but you cannot do them because you're sacrificing that for a higher purpose, a higher goal, a higher morale, a higher belief, whatever it is. So that's why this goal needs to be important to you, okay? This will be hard. It will mean sacrifice. It will mean restriction. But it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the process. It doesn't mean that you can't have some foods that you enjoy. I'm just saying that it is going to be hard. And that is okay, because everything of value comes at an expense. It comes with sacrifice. Think about it. Everything that you have now, all the whatever, modalities you may have, the car. How'd you get that? You worked your ass off. That's what you did. You paid off the car. How'd you get the house? You worked your ass off. Okay? How do you get in shape after decades of not being in shape? You got to work your ass off. There's no way around that. So I wanted to lay that out there. Get that out of your head. So how the hell does fat loss work? So this is what we call lipolysis. Basically, we have energy units. Call them calories, right? 1 calorie is the amount of heat required to bring up 1 gram of water, 1 degree Celsius, right? We use energy measured in calories, kilocalories in labels. For the future, in future reference for this guide, everything that I talk about is going to be kilocalories. But I'm going to say calories because I'm lazy and not putting kilocalories in front of shit. So what we actually mean is kilocalories on the label, but it's whatever. So, for example, you have macronutrients, right? Carbs, protein, fats, alcohol. Everyone probably knows this, but I'm going to explain it anyway. So with carbs, they're 4 calories per gram. Gram of protein is 4 calories. Gram of fats is 9 calories. 1 gram of alcohol is 7 calories. Now, highly suggest avoiding alcohol, or at least abstaining from it, and trying to restrict your alcohol intake. Alcohol really does not serve a purpose other than drinking your feelings away, right? And if you want to have a beverage every once in a while, that's totally fine, but really, really, really try to get this on lock, because alcohol has no benefits whatsoever for your health. It does not. It quite literally decreases, I think, the amount of gray and white matter in your fucking brain. That's not good. So let's restrict alcohol quite a bit here, okay? You can still have it, but ideally, refrain at most times. If you want to have it every once in a while, that's fine. I like to drink every once in a while myself, right? I'm not saying you can't have that, but you need to, if you're having a beer after work every day, that's not normal. Let me just say that. Not normal. So, yeah, figure that out. But I also want to say, starvation mode is complete bullshit, okay? The body uses energy to perform every day, right? We need a certain amount of energy to perform and live as a human fucking being, Okay, if the energy is not there, what? This isn't Minecraft. Okay, you can't spawn in energy. That's not how this works. If we don't have energy available, we would die. Okay, the energy has to come from somewhere. Think about how many enzymatic reactions are occurring in your body every single dog damn day. So many. There's an abundance of them. How do we fuel those enzymatic reactions, right? Ultimately, ATP, energy. That is how we fuel. How do we get that? Well, from either food or the tissues on our body, right? We need energy, okay? And starvation mode does not exist. Now, sure, hormones can downregulate over an extended period of time restrictive dieting, but I guarantee you this is not going to happen to you because you're not that restrictive, okay? The only time where you really see this is in bodybuilding prep. When you're very, very lean, your thyroid, it might slow down a little bit, right? But it's not starvation mode. Your body's still losing fat. Your metabolism itself downregulates slightly, but most of that change is through basal metabolic rate. And that's just because how many calories you need to sustain your fucking tissue. When you're a smaller person, you need less. You need less energy because you're a tinier human being. But yes, okay, if you're a bodybuilding prep near the end of it, your thyroid might downregulate a little bit. Some of these hormones may come into play, but that's not happening to you guys. You're not that lean, okay? So just cancel this fucking shit out. It's not Minecraft. Next. Come on. There we go. Understand you, okay? You need to set yourself up for success. You're not a fucking template, so don't act like one. What motivates you? Understand your behavior. What motivates these behaviors? What motivates you to seek out these foods? What motivates you to have a drink after work every day? Understand why. Why do you even want to do this in the first place? What's the motive here? Okay? Is it because you want to play with your kids a little bit more? Because you want to look good on the beach? Right? Self-confidence, look better in your clothes. What is it? What's the pain point? Why? And also, what does food mean to you? You know, what do you value about food? You know, do you travel a lot? Right? Do not expect to meal prep all the time then. What are your preferences? You need to build this for you. All of these questions are things you should be thinking about to set yourself up for success, right? Because we're after long-term behavior change, not just dieting and then getting back on and then dieting and getting, it's not after whatever. And also, throughout your diet, monitor your physical symptoms, right? How's libido? How's sleep? How's your performance in the gym, etc. Because these things can be indicative of, underfeeding in terms of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals deficiencies. These can all be. So you have to listen to your body, and I'm not talking about the way the traditional influencer might tell you, jiggling his fat in the camera, or her fat, his fat, it doesn't matter, eating a slice of pizza, telling you to love your body. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you, okay, we have to listen to our physical symptoms. How are we feeling in the gym? How are we sleeping? What's going on? Because this might require you to pull yourself out and up calories a little bit. Next, set yourself up for success, especially with the foods. Out of sight, out of mind. If you can't look at the Oreos without eating them, put them out of the damn house. Get them out of the house. Or at least, at the very least, move them to the lower level. Let's say you have a main pantry, right? Okay, sure. If you want to have an ice cream every once in a while, put it in the fucking basement. That way, at least, it's not in front of your dome every single day. When you open up the freezer, you're going to make something. You're like, oh, the ice cream, the Ben & Jerry's. Put it in the basement. That way, if you really want it, at least you got to think about it. Be like, yeah, I want it. Go down the fucking steps, grab it, and it's not something you can just do lazily looking at it and picking it up and eating it. Shoving it in your mouth. Okay? That's what I want you to do. So at least make it harder to get it and have the healthier foods, more whole foods, more nutritious foods on the front shelf, right? Where you can access them. And also, right? Why have you failed in the past? Learn from this. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You cannot go about the same way you've been doing this if you keep failing. What have you done in the past? Why has it failed? And then learn from it. And then control the controllables. There is never or will never be a perfect time to lose weight, right? Your fitness is a spectrum. It's not something you lock in for 4 fucking months. It happens across the entire lifespan. So if you're going out to eat, okay, maybe you can't control that. Maybe you can't control that much, right? We have to control the controllables. But what you can control is drinking a protein shake before so you don't overindulge at the meal, okay? That's something you can't control. What you can control is looking at the menu in advance. All of these things you can control. So it doesn't mean that as soon as it's a little fucking uncomfortable or life is a little inconvenient, you have to throw your entire fitness journey out the fucking window. That's not what we're doing. So lock that in. And also assess your mental state, okay? If you're judging others for their food decisions, if you're afraid to eat, if it's not logged or tracked, if you're developing obsessions about food, seek help. Okay, that is not healthy behavior. We do not want food to govern our lives. Remove the emotion from food. Yes, food is something we use as society in a cultural sense to communicate with others, to meet with others. You have business lunches, all that kind of stuff. Awesome. But you need to remove the emotion from food and just view it as an energy source. That is ultimately what it is at the end of the day. So get the shit out of your brain. If you're dealing with this kind of stuff, seek help. There are resources online. You can look up an eating disorder recovery clinic. Tell somebody. Get help. That is what I want to say. And I cannot stress that enough. It is super important to monitor this because people get themselves down the wrong track. Catch it early and fix it. Because if you don't, it's going to be much harder to fix. Okay, so if you start catching yourself with these things, challenge that thought, seek help, and don't be afraid because there are people that struggle with this and there are people that specialize in eating disorder recovery. So please, okay, just get help. Anyway, rant aside. Prioritize food sources. So let's talk about food sources, guys. Nobody ever got fat because they ate too many fruits, vegetables, or high-quality minimally processed meats. Okay, salami, bologna, yes. But we're talking lean meats here. Lean meats, okay? No. I refuse to believe it, okay? Nobody ever got fat because they ate too many fruits, vegetables, or high-quality minimally processed meats. So what should you do? First thing, always increase the amount of veggies in your diet. If you can't stomach it, got it. You're not a toddler, okay? I'm sorry. You're not a toddler. You're an adult, okay? Eat like an adult. If you don't like it, you can retrain your palate. Something like masking it with another thing. Grinding up the spinach doesn't really have a taste. All of these things that you can incorporate in your meals, you can retrain your palate. It is possible. As you get leaner as well, you will start to prefer physiologically and biologically better, more nutritious foods. You will start to crave them more. So you can retrain this behavior. You just have to take it one step at a time. So there's things you can do to retrain your palate. It won't suck forever, but you have to amount to some amount of suck. So if you can't stomach it, look at all, right? You got to do these things. Can't help you. Okay. Fruits as well, right? When we're talking about fruits, really, they're high in micronutrients, high in water, right? So but they don't have protein in them, unlike vegetables. Vegetables can have protein, right? So fruits, they're high in protein. I mean, not high in protein. Fruits are high in water content, vitamins, nutrients, all that kind of stuff. So it's important to eat our fruits and vegetables because, we're getting nutrients from them. And also, they're very much, filled with water, fiber, nutrient dense, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I want to be prioritizing those. In meats, okay? Why meats? Protein. Simple as that. Filling, protein, lean meat, opt for ground turkey. There we go. Opt for ground turkey, that kind of stuff. I told you guys this wasn't scripted. I'm going off the fucking dome here. Next, carbs. So these are things like rice, grains, potatoes, noodles, flour, wheat, etc. Right? These are easier to overconsume because they have lower water and fiber content and lower micronutrients as well. So it's easier to overeat these things. So ideally, start the meal by eating your veggies, fruits, meats first, and then move down the chain, right? Into the easier to overeat things. So that's what I'm saying, okay? Now, in terms of fat, you should still eat these, by the way. They're still fine, okay? But prioritize these first. Fats. So oils need to be monitored. I have seen people cook a fucking lean chicken breast and just douse the shit with 4 tablespoons of olive oil. That's like 500 calories right there, okay? That is destroying your lean chicken dish right there. You have just turned that lean chicken dish into a fat chicken dish, okay? Monitor and measure these with a scale, a tablespoon, whatever. You need to monitor these, especially when cooking. Peanut butter too. I always think people, peanut butter's healthy. Okay, yeah. Your avocado toast, sure, it's high in nutrients, but monitor that because an avocado is still high calorie. Nuts, still high calorie. So monitor these fats, right? And then we got fun foods, right? So these are your donuts, cookies, chips, sugary drinks. Yes, that includes your damn naked smoothies in the morning. Please stop. Stop drinking these fruit juices. They're not, I'm not going to demonize them, but Jesus, guys. We're drinking like 250 calorie little 16 ounce beverages in the morning. What are we doing? We're trying to lose weight here. Our goal should be satiety. Okay, stop it. So it should be limited, moderation. Okay, and this is something I took from a study. Basically, it just shows the satiety pyramid. So when you eat in a meal, I think they evaluated what the order in which foods were eaten, and this was the how you should structure it. So like toward the end of the meal, this is where you have this kind of stuff. But at the start of the meal, you have your lean meats, your veggies, your fruits, all that kind of stuff, right? And this is going to help you, feel more full during your eating. So eat the veggies and the fruits first, meats, and then you can go to the rest. I think that's a good way to strategize when you're eating your meals for weight loss. Okay. How do you calculate your macros? So this is a formula for it. The Mifflin St. Jeor equation. Right? don't know how to say that, but men 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times your age plus 5. Woman 10 times your weight in kilograms. This minus 5 times your age minus 161. But how I like to do it, just go to TDEE, go to a TDEEcalculator.net. Much easier. Just do that. It's going to do it for you. Put in your activity level, what you think, and be honest with this stuff. Okay, don't overestimate it. And then you just calculate that, and then you can track it over time. Okay, so you can track that over time and see if it works for you, and then if not, just decrease calories from there. Okay. Implementation. You should be taking your weight first thing in the morning. Okay, understand and remove the weight and remove the emotion from the scale too. So understand that initial weight loss is going to be water. Okay, for the first 1 to 2 weeks. We're after long-term trends over daily fluctuations. If you gain a pound in one day, it's totally fine. Fucking relax. It's okay. Look at the trend. Okay, if it's trending down over time, that's what we're after. It's just another tool. It's all we're doing is monitoring our weight loss. That's all. Okay, and then as far as adjustments go, if you're losing a 1% body weight loss per week, I wouldn't even reduce it farther. But if you want slower loss, you go for a modest reduction, right? 300 calories a week is probably going to yield you like, I don't know, a half pound a week, right? So you want to be realistic, okay? If you want to decrease calories, analyze yourself first, right? Can you tolerate a sharper decline? Can you even do that? Are you ready? Are you mentally prepared for that? Can you do that? Are you ready to be a little hangry, right? Speed doesn't fucking matter if you can't stick to it. Okay, sure, if you want to go on this aggressive diet, 1,000-calorie deficit, be all means, be my guest. But a lot of people can't even stick to that. So what are you doing? Just start small and then go from there, right? And then also structure your daily intake. So you want to figure, the fuck does that even mean? Figure out what you're going to eat the day before, right? Always. Never wing it. Never wing it, okay? And the night before, you should have an idea of what you're going to eat the morning of. Please, don't wing it. Don't just fucking wing it. It's not a good idea. So you want to prioritize satiating foods. Again, veggies, meats, and fruits. Well, I'll tell you, I'm having a seizure. I can't speak. Okay, so cultivating sustainable habits, right? What are we doing here? So we want to identify lifestyle factors for success. Okay, when we look at the research, what is higher fiber consumption correlated with? Weight control. Protein as well, weight control. It also helps with fat loss, higher thermic effective food, meaning it takes more calories to burn it. Maintenance, muscle, all that's good. So you want to eating at least 0.73 to 1 gram per pound of lean mass that you have. But yeah, and then, you can just do 1 gram per pound of lean mass, because if you're like very overweight, you're going to have to eat less protein than 1 gram per pound of body weight. So you want to opt for whole foods. This is going to reduce the likelihood of becoming or staying overweight. By whole food, I mean, growing on a plant, or, had a mom and dad, was on a farm, something like that, right? Whole foods. Okay, regular physical activity. You want to be getting your steps in. Aim at least 8,000 steps per day. You can start slower and work your way up. So let's say you want to do maybe 4,000 if you're very inactive. Cool. Weightlifting, at least 3 times a week. You could start at 1 and work your way up. I wouldn't go over 5. I wouldn't go over 5 for weightlifting, guys. I wouldn't go over 5. Now, calories are the mechanism, but this is how we make lasting change. Calories are how you win the game. Calories are how you win the game of weight loss, okay? But this is how. Okay, this is like saying, calories in, calories out. Cool, that's not a piece of advice. That's the mechanism, okay? That is like, okay, in order to win a football game, you have to get more touchdowns than the other team. Cool, now we understand that. This is how we make lasting change, though. Concluding thoughts, guys. This is a wrap-up here. So, consistency is key. Like I said earlier in this presentation, fitness is not something you do for 4 months out of the year. Okay, it's not. It is something you do across the lifespan. Sure, it may fluctuate. We have seasons of things. We might be more dialed in, less dialed in. But ultimately, we should have a floor or a base that we can always return to. Maybe your base is 3 workouts a week, 8,000 steps a day, focusing on veggies, meats, and fruits. Awesome. You're better than 99% of people already. Cool. You're healthy. Let's fucking do that. Okay? And also, avoid obsession. Remove the emotion from these numbers, guys. Tracking can be helpful, but it's just data. That's all it is. It's all. Don't let numbers dictate your life. Don't let numbers ruin your whole entire day. Okay? It's just a fucking number, and it's only being used to track your progress. If you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious and you're struggling about constant thoughts about food and feeling out of control when eating to where you're going downstairs mucking down 20 Oreos, then over-restrict the next day, or maybe you're purging in these behaviors, seek help. There are resources available, and you are not weak for seeking help. It is an act of courage to go with someone and tell them, hey, man, I'm struggling. I need help. Okay? Seek help. I cannot stress that enough. Okay? Ultimately, this is your journey, and this is about giving you the tools to take control, not being controlled by the process. Okay? Enjoy the process. It's going to take time, and It might suck a little bit, okay? But ultimately, remember why you started in the first place. Because you want to change. You want to change your life, okay? Changing your life is not easy. You can't do it in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. Got it? So I hope this helped. Let me know your thoughts. And if you want coaching, reach out to me. But this should help you out. So, and also, this was off the dome. So I think I did pretty well for just not even rehearsing this once. I hope you enjoyed my yap session, guys. This is just going to be fucking, this is me in the flash, man.